get set up. And today we're talking all things Chihuly, specifically Chihuly art-inspired projects that you can do with your grandkids. And what if you don't have grandkids? You can still do this because this art project is great for anyone of any age. Make sure you hop in that chat, give us your thoughts, and leave us some feedback. So how do we get started here, my friends? Well, let's go over the supplies that you're going to need. You don't need a lot. That is what's great. So Chihuly was this, or still is, this great sculptor that uses glass. If you've never seen a Chihuly exhibit, I encourage you to do so. His glasswork is amazing. I grew up in Oklahoma, and Oklahoma City Art Museum has some of his art. It's absolutely beautiful, one of his installations. If you've ever been to the Bellagio in Las Vegas, one of the most beautiful ceilings in all of Las Vegas is his blown glass. Now, he did start out as wanting to be an interior designer, and he was making some fabric pieces, and he wanted to incorporate some metal and some glass. And he had never done glass before. He took a glass blowing class, and I guess he fell in love. And from then on, that was his passion. He studied in Italy with some of the best glass masters. But what he did was, although there's all these techniques to blow glass, he was very much inspired by nature and letting things happen naturally, letting gravity take on the form, and then hanging things. But it's not always hung. Sometimes it's, standing, things like that. It's absolutely phenomenal. I encourage you to go look at his website, read his story, look at all of his beautiful glass. So what do you need if you want to make your own Chihuly-inspired glass? Well, let me show you. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money. You're going to want to have something that you can melt, because this is what we're going to do. If when you were younger you ever did shrinky dinks, I loved shrinky dinks. I don't think they're called shrinky dinks anymore, but you can buy that acetate online, but you can also do it with plasticware. The one thing that you want to make sure of is looking at the bottom of your cup. It needs to have a number 6 on the bottom. Both of these do, and I'm wanting to give you kind of a variety here. So this cup right here is from the Dollar Tree. You can get a whole sleeve of these for $1.25. These melt incredibly well. There is a drawback on these, and I'll explain it in a minute. These are Chinette cups, which this is the best way to do it. Again, there's a number 6 on the bottom. These are a little bit more expensive. I prefer these over these, and here is why. Let's look at some examples right here. This is made with the Chinette cup, right? And you can see it looks like glass. So it really is more of the Chihuly inspiration that I want to use for this. But it's a more expensive cup. It's also quite hard, all right? This one is the Dollar Tree cup. It melts incredibly well, but it has white. It has white. And so if you're okay with it being white and not clear, I say go for it this way. Now, what is the drawback to the Chinette cup? Well, this, let's say you love this, but you want to go a little bit further with this. If you leave this in the oven just a little bit longer, it will flatten out, and maybe you want just a disc. The Chinette cups don't want to do that. They actually are more of imitating Chihuly's vision of how just letting things slump naturally based on gravity. So you can play around with the two. The other thing that you can do are put holes in this. So if you look at these Chinette plastic cups, just take your hole punch, go right there, punch a hole in it. It works just fine. It may crack it a little bit, but it's still going to work. That way, if you want to hang your Chihuly glass, you can do that. If you're going to use these cups, I recommend that you cut the lid off so you can get your hole punch around it, like we did on this one here. Just hole punch it. What this will allow you to do is to hang these up. So if the Dollar Tree ones make more of a disc, they're going to hang really nicely. These are going to come out the way that they come out, which is what I absolutely love about these. Now, you can also take these pieces and turn them into sculpture. You can hot glue them, or do like Chihuly. Put that hole in them, hang them from the ceiling, put them all in a window. Just let him be the inspiration to you making art. Okay, so we have our cups. The next thing you need are Sharpies, colored Sharpies. That is all you need. Don't do the Crayola markers. You need the Sharpies. Now I have two different kinds of Sharpies here. I have these that are a little bit wider, and then I have the fine tip. Both of them work great. I wouldn't use the super fine tip or you'll be coloring for ages. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start coloring these cups right now. And when we get back, we're gonna put these in the oven and I can tell you how that's done and how to be safe. So now I'm just coloring these. How do I color them? Don't worry about it. You just lay down color. You can do shapes on them. Maybe you want to do some squares or some rectangles or some curly cues. It just doesn't matter. You can color anywhere. Do you need a color inside the cup? No, you can if you want. I do like coloring the edges like this, and I like coloring the top like that. But it doesn't matter. Whatever you or your grandkid want to do, it is absolutely fine. This is a time for you guys to get together, to experiment with art, and to have a good time. We are not trying to make things that are going to hang in a museum. These are going to hang in your house so that you can remember them forever. It's very cool. So now that I've finished coloring all of these, and you can do as many that are going to fit on your sheet pan as you need, I recommend putting something down on your sheet pan, either some foil or possibly maybe some parchment paper. It just protects it. We are melting some plastic, however. We're not going to leave this in the oven for very long, so don't worry about that. Now, when you go to lay these down, you can lay them down sideways. You can lay them like this. You can lay them like this. I encourage you to try different ways of letting them melt. The other thing is, if you use both kinds, the Dollar Tree ones melt first, but don't get freaked out that these aren't going to go. They absolutely will. These will also kind of go in a different direction, more flat, right? But you can still lay them on their side. It's interesting to see what happens when you lay them on their side and how they still want to go flat. That is just the way they want to do it. The Chinette ones are going to do their own thing. So preheat your oven. You can do that while you're coloring to 350. It does not need to be hotter than that. 350 degrees. Line this with something, parchment paper or aluminum foil. Lay down your glasses in any way you want. Remember, if you want to punch a hole in them to hang them, do that before you put them in the oven. It just makes things a lot easier. So I just lay these how I want to, and we're going to go to the oven next. And I'm going to show you how these melt. So remember, 350 degrees, line that sheet pan, and let's go. So I'm going to put them in the oven. You can lower the rack a little bit so that they're not touching up top. 1 to 2 minutes. I like to watch them as they go. Remember those Dollar Tree ones? There they go. They're going to go first, and then your other ones go. If you lay them on top of each other, they really don't fuse together. I've tried that several times, but it's still quite a bit of fun. There they go. They're going to melt. Watch what they do. They want to lay flat. So now that I'm happy with how they've come out in there and I can make those decisions, let's take them out. Please make sure you put one of these on your hands. It is hot, even though it's only been in the oven for a little bit. Now you will get a little bit of a plastic smell, but it goes away pretty fast. It dissipates. Now, if you want, you can use something like a spatula if you want to change the shape of these. So if these aren't flat and you wanted them flat, don't use your hands like I'm doing. But you can get them to lay a little bit flatter. You can put them back in. But I like this idea of Chihuly not being flat, right? So, but you have the ability to mold these a little bit. Now, let's go look at these over at the table. Okay, so I've taken these out of the oven, making sure that I'm using my mitt. I probably would stay in there in the kitchen, but it's easier to come show you here. So this is what we have now. I want to show you, I put some other ones on here so you could see them. If you want it to be fully flat like this, I encourage you to keep it upright, turn it upside down and let it melt that way. Then you can take your spatula, you could take your hand as long as it's in a glove and smash it. But if you want it more Chihuly-like, I really encourage you let it just do its thing. Look at that one. Is that not fabulous how that bent all up? Some of these, remember, are going to have holes in them. You may have to search for the hole so that you can put something in there, but that's it. And you have all of this wonderful Chihuly glass. Again, you can take them, put them together, make them into a sculpture, whatever you want to do. And that's it, my friends. I hope that I have encouraged you to go do some art with your grandkids. Remember, this is an art project for everyone. Do this with all ages. It's really fun to do at your next family gathering. Just have fun. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you very soon.